Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Get Dirty Garage. Today, decided to switch some gears a little bit. We'll move on to the interior and play with that just a little bit. So today's challenge, I think it's going to be a interesting one, is to take these Camaro door panels and try and see if we can fit them into the same spot that these El Camino door panels came out of. And as you can imagine, this being two-dimensional, and that's got lots of dimensionals on it. Not going to be a bolt-in. And they're longer and wider and all sorts of stuff. So I guess we'll give it a try, see what we can come up with. I think it's going to be a bumpy ride, so strap yourselves down and we'll see what we can come across and figure out. But so I think we got tons of work to do. Let's go ahead and let's get dirty. Is this thing on? Yeah. All right, so I think the first challenge we've got to try and figure out is how to make the top of the door panel actually attach to the Elco. And on the Camaro, they got these clips, and it just kind of snaps onto the top. So I think what I'll try to do, and you know, the El Camino one kind of runs over the top. It's got a little metal clam shell thing or whatever, but this weather strip that also includes, let's see, weather strip that also includes like the window felt. So I think hopefully we can use that. If you guys got a Camaro and you're taking the door panels off, do not lose those little clips, because apparently they're made out of unobtainium and unicorn tears, because GM wants $17 a piece for those things. Because one of them was missing on this, but basically this top of the door on the Camaro was straight, and it's a double layer that's kind of pinch welded together. I think we can duplicate that and put some spot in there to reuse these clips. And this is a little bit longer than the El Camino door, so I think we can just chop that off and use that. So first thing I think we need to accomplish is try and get the top of that clip on to the El Camino door, and then we can kind of try and figure out the rest of that. So I'm going to cut a couple of cut a strip of like 16 gauge out and double it up, and hopefully that'll do for the top of the door to get this panel to get on the Elco. So we'll get to cutting that out and seeing what we can come up with there. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do some sparkly wheel of terror on the Elco, I'm sure, to tear that top of that door up and rebuild it. So we'll get started from there. Okay, so I got a couple of pieces that I think about the right size, thereabouts, marked out here. So I'm just going to slice these off, and then we'll kind of play with them a little bit on the El Camino, see what we got to cut and chop and fun stuff like that. So stand back, we'll make some sparks. Okay, so got those cut out, and I think for the time being, I mean, that would give us a double layer, and I'll clean these up, and I think for the time being I'm just gonna screw them together. you know, just some self tappers or something, so we can kind of get them fitted into the car and see what troubles await us there. So we'll get these screwed together, cleaned up, and head on over to the Elco and see what's up. Okay, so here's the deal as I see it. This has got to end up someplace, I don't know, down in here, I think. But it's got to come this way a little bit, because when I put the old one on, I need, like, between the felt strip and the door skin, I need like 7/8 of an inch, you know, for the window and the outer felt strip and all that fun stuff, and don't quite have that. And all of this geometry is kind of a mess here. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking some slices out of the top of this door. Let's see if we can figure out about how far we need to go in here. I'm guessing I got to take this lump off here, but somewhere along that line, thereabouts, and taking that mess off. And then up front, probably got to chop a little bit of this stuff out. So anyway, I think that will get us, you know, if we look at where this Camaro weather strip or felt strip or weather felt strip has got to sit. Got to sit down a little bit. I want that kind of flush with the top of the door. So we'll kind of play around with a little bit of what we got to cut and what we got to leave, and then we'll take the sparkly wheel and chop up the top of the door and see what happens from there. So that's going to be next step. Okay, well, I think that'll give us a good starting point to figure out where we want to put that in relationship to the outer door skin, and then we can kind of tack her in place, I guess, and see what's going on. We'll go from there. Okay, so I did find out that the magic $1 million clips, I mean, they only go over one layer of metal in the top of the Camaro doors. They got this little bump out that slides down into, but what I'm going to do is actually just cut out the back piece of this in little squares, so I can put the clip down on one thickness of metal, and then actually the weather strip kind of holds them in place anyway. So we'll split this apart real quick, make those slots in there. Okay, let's knock some slots in this thing. All right, so I got that piece kind of got some ugly looking spot welds through it and so on, but it's a double layer and got the little cutouts for the unobtainium clips and so on. And basically that's got to sit kind of in here in that door. I sliced the weather strip off kind of to length, but you know, that actually slides down on top. So what I want to do is just try to get this positioned in here, kind of where the front and the rear might go. Thing's a little bit long, but I want to get that window scraper kind of into that channel just a little bit, which I think that should be fine. And right about, once that's down, right about level with the outside door frame. Cut that off a little bit more. It's got to go out just a little bit, I think. I'll take a little bit more off of here. And a little bit there. But as far as height goes, I think that's pretty good. So a little bit more chopping and grindifying here. Dirty goggles. Hopefully, I'm getting close here. Okay, looking up for who it's for, I think. Let's do a couple of quick tacks here. Come on. Okay. Quick bit of measuring maybe. Make sure we're kind of close to parallel. Oh, that's pretty good. It's really good. Okay, so I will go ahead and finish getting this tacked along here, and that'll strengthen up the top of this door, and that should give us a spot to actually put that weather strip down on, and the unobtainium clips and so on. So let's get some spots in here. Okay, we'll let that cool down for a minute, and then do just a touch of test fitting stuff and go from there. Okay, so I think I got the spacing on these clips somewhere close. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But they basically clip on to that section. Like I said, don't lose these, because I had to order one because the Camaro was missing one. Still can't believe they want 17 bucks for a clip, but good old Generous Motors. Okay, then at that, it's a little bit long yet, so I got to kind of crunch it in there, but then that's going to sit there, give us a felt for the inside of the glass, and then the top of that door panel should, quote unquote, should be able to clip onto those, right? But it's a little long. So anyways, I think what my plan is, or this is my thought right now, is this should attach the top. And obviously this is kind of three-dimensional, right? Because it sticks out. And what I think I'm going to do is basically cut off this entire edge, bottom and front and back here, into kind of the shape of the door, so that what remains is fairly flat section all the way around. I mean, it's kind of got some whoop-de-doo whipping here underneath the dash, but I want to keep all that detail because I'm going to use the Camaro dash as well, and it kind of fits around like the AC openings and things like that. So what I think the plan will be is to basically chop this off all the way around, and then basically rebuild an edge that's around that whole door with a little flange on it out of metal, and that way I can kind of melt the two together, or stick the two together, or screw the two together, or something together. And that way we'll have, you know, the three-dimensional aspect of this, but fitting to the Elco door. So that's, yeah, like I said, we're making this up as we go along. So I think at this point we got kind of a plan on the top that should get us started there. And next step, let's chop up this door panel. What the heck? Okay, I know all the Camaro guys are cringing right now, but you know, got to do what you got to do. So take a slightly educated guess on where we've got to cut this. Somewhere like here-ish, there-ish, and there. So I think, you know, if we miss a little bit, we can do some trimming, or we can add some metal for a flange or whatever. So we'll give it a go and see what happens here. Don't need that either. Okay. That will give us at least a surface along the back that maybe we can glue on some glue onto a metal frame. So let's I'll clean this up just a little bit and see if I can get some of this other stuff hacked off the back that we don't need, and then we'll go see if we can actually kind of make it fit sort of on the car. So we'll go from there. Okay, now that we got this kind of chopped off a little bit and trimmed up a little bit, let's see basically if this will go on to where I think it should. Clip on the top. I think those are all in. So that gives us a kind of a start, I think. And then obviously we've got these edges to fill up, but I think we can start with a frame along the door itself, then build out and then build in order to get kind of a flat surface for this to attach to. It's going to have a little bit of tension in it, but we'll get that kind of figured out, I think. And we'll start with trying to lay like a perimeter around the door itself. Thinking, you know, just a little strip along that whole door edge where, you know, it'll be, because of this flange on the body opening, you can't be all the way out to, you know, where that door closes, because we'll have to bring it in maybe 3/4 of an inch or something like that from the edge of the door. But I think that gets us kind of in the ballpark of a starting point, and we'll mock up some strips along there, grind to fit maybe, and see what we can come up with for building out. We have to make a template or something like that, you know, or just some more rough guesses. So, anyways, we'll pick it up from there. But pretty excited that it actually kind of almost sort of will work, maybe. Yeah, better than what was in it. Okay, so I cut out some about 1 inch wide strips that are kind of straight. And what I'm gonna do, I think, is I bent the top of this one over, but I'm gonna try and like screw these to the door, just using some self-tappers, and I have to fill in those corners and such, but and overlap the edge here just a little bit so that we can kind of grind it to fit as we go along. But I think what this will do is give us kind of a start at you know, kind of making that frame around the door itself. So see if we can't get a couple of screws in a few of these. Put a little kink in the front one here, so that kind of where I think it should go anyways. Okay, well, I'm gonna see if I can weld these together without welding them to the door, and that'll get us a start to a frame, and then we'll have to figure out how to fill in side pieces or something here. So we'll get this tacked together and go from there. Okay, well that gets us a start to the frame. I'm going to take this over and put it in a vise and clamp it up a little bit and get those welds finished and ground down, and then we'll slap her back on and see what we can do to kind of fill in the sides there, or what we have to do anyway. So we'll go from there. Okay, so I got that frame kind of put together and corners kind of tapped off a little bit. And I think what I'll do is I'll put this back on and then kind of grind to fit the door opener. A customized fit, so should go where I think it should go anyways, is to the edge of that door. So get this stuck back on real quick. Okay, so I think that's in place. I'm going to take the grinder and kind of grind down these edges to match the door, and that way we can actually get a kind of a custom fit to that. So we'll pick it up from there. Okay, well, I think that'll give us a kind of a starting point to build out from, and what we can do at this point is kind of clip that on, and then basically what we got to figure out, take some cardboard or something and go between this edge here and the door panel. So we'll see if we can't figure out a template, put some cardboard together or something, and kind of go all the way around and see what we come up with and go from there. All right, so after a ridiculous amount of time fiddling around, I came up with this mess. But basically what that will do, I think, is that can go on there and then wrap around the corners and fill in the gaps that we got to all the pieces and parts. So I'm gonna go transfer this mess over to some metal and do some sparkly wheel of terror action. See if we can't cut that out somewhat in that shape, and then we can bend it around and tack it on there and kind of fit the panel to that, I think. So at least that's the thought. We'll get started with that. All right, so I got this laid out and traced out, metal cleaned up a little bit. I'm gonna actually try and cut this with the air scissor things. I don't know if I can make the curves and so on, but yeah, we'll give it a try. It makes a little bit cleaner edge. Don't have so much cleanup to do as we go along, so we'll see if we can't get kind of this cut out. Go from there. Okay, well I think that's close enough. Couldn't quite get some of those curves done up there with that, so got the sparkly wheel out. But I think if we take this and kind of tack it to the frame that we made, that will give us a starting point. We'll probably have to do some grinding for, you know, curves and fun stuff like that. But let's go ahead and tack this on the car real quick and see what it looks like. All right, well, let's get this bent up a little bit. See if we can't kind of align where we need our curves to be. Something like that. Yeah, it's in that ballpark. So we'll figure out a way to kind of get this stuck up here temporarily and do a little bit of tacking and see if we can't then take that door panel and kind of fit it to what this mess is going to be. So we'll see. But anyways, we'll pick it up from that point. All right, so I got an assortment of magnets kind of keeping that in place, and I just want to tack a couple of spots and get a feel for this. best not to weld it to the door. Okay, so I think, I got to do a bunch of grinding and fun stuff up here to kind of take up some of these curves, but the concept at this point is kind of that, where that should kind of lay down into that metal. And then from here, we'll put a flange on the outside of this all the way around. And that way we'll be able to kind of glue this piece to that piece together and meld and things like that. So I'm going to do a little bit of trimming up in this front. I think I made it a little too wide, so do a little bit of grinding, and then we will figure this other mess out. So we'll go from there. All right, after a bunch of grinding and manipulating up in this front corner, I think I got this to the point where it will snap on the top, and then be able to be conformed, I guess. Be a little bit of tension in it, but it should be okay. So at this point, I think I can grind these front and rear edges of the plastic to kind of match that outline of where I've got that metal in there, and that way be able to close the door and see what interferes. I think actually this bracket for the old dash has got to come out because it's kind of protuberance there, and this is going to be inboard a little bit, so I think probably a little bit of this and that bracket. So but I'm going to go ahead and kind of try and do a little bit of grinding on this outer edge and get that profile to match. So we will see what it looks like after that. Okay, I'll get this to match up all the way around, and then we will pick it up from there, figure out what we want to do for kind of that flat portion that's got to attach to there. So that'll be next. All right, so nothing better than the smell of burning plastic in the morning. Get you going. But I think as I expected, this little bracket up here that held on the original dash was a casualty of war. It kind of interfered with this top corner up here when it closed the door, but got this trimmed up so it's inside of that frame, and at this point the door actually will close and open again. So I think what I'll do is I'll kind of clean up this mess a little bit, and then we'll figure out basically, I think what I'm gonna end up doing is kind of what we talked about, is some strips that you know, will kind of be an inch or so wide here, a couple inches on the bottom because the Camaro door is a little bit short, but just kind of make a flange all the way around where I can attach the two, and we should have kind of a one-piece door panel again. So I don't know, something like that, but we'll figure it out. By the way, you know, you can tell the difference if a man's got kids or doesn't just by looking at his wallet. There's pictures where the money used to be. All right, well, let's get some work done. All right, so I went ahead and cut out some pieces out of some scrap to kind of make these flanges that I'm envisioning, and yes, for the lack of a better clamping strategy, I'm holding them up there with tape. So, but anyways, use what you got, you know. Had to make a little notch in this one because that's where that little pocket thing goes on the back side of the door panel. But I think what I'll do is I'm just going to tack this together real quick, kind of tack the pieces in place, check the fit of the door panel and fun stuff like that, and then see what adjustments we need to make from there. So I'm going to start with these corners and just get a quick tack in them. So, what I think can happen, this one more time, is the top can clip into place, and then we should be able to glue and screw this to that metal frame and have some sort of a semblance of a complete door panel. So that's the plan. I'm going to go ahead and get all of this welded up and a little bit more trimming and fitting, and then what we can do is screw the two together and figure out how far off we are. So that's the plan. We'll make it happen. All right, so I got this frame welded up. I mean, just kind of spotted all the way around, and it doesn't need to be like metal finished or anything else, because we're going to end up having to use some, I don't know, sticky stuff to smooth things out, I think. So anyways, I think at this point we can kind of throw the door pad on here, the door panel, or this plastic thing, and get it clipped in the top. I'm gonna shoot some screws kind of around the perimeter, and then should be able to take this off as one piece, kind of see how it goes back and forth and on and off and fun stuff like that. Kind of proof of concept here. So we'll see if we can't get these attached or pretend like they're one piece together. Let's see here. Gonna get enough of them in there that smooth out that edge slightly. Played with it just a little bit. Tried to find some decent attaching points, but yeah, well, came up with whatever, so. That's pretty coordinated. Just using some self-tappers to kind of get that in the right spots, I think. Gotta get a little bit of trimming maybe around that pocket down there. It doesn't sit as smooth flush as I'd like it to. But we got lots of filling and sanding and covering and wrapping and all sorts of stuff to come from here. So see if we can get it figured out. Okay, well that kind of gets us all one piece, I think. We'll do a little test fire there. Seems to stay on the door. And open and close, so now let's pull it off by the frame. And I think hopefully I can get enough retention out of the clips on the top and then a few screws along the bottom so I don't have any exposed screws along, you know, sides and things like that. So cross fingers. All right. This, okay, it's a little bit heavy, but you know, what the heck, so's the Elco, so am I. All right, but that should be able to go back on, screwed in place. Yeah, cool. Concept basically works. So now we just gotta figure out how to take the ugly out of all of this. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I think actually at this point it's probably a good time to try and figure out this door handle. See what we can come up with there. Got a little bit of trimming and stuff to do, and a couple other spots. But yeah, cool. Really kind of like the way it fits in there, and I think it should be good enough. Got a bunch of extra stuff on this door panel to take off because there's no trunk release on an El Camino. Yeah, there is, but mine's mechanical and probably cannot use the electric mirror control, but maybe door locks and window switches and stuff like that should be okay. But anyways, I think we're in good shape. Let's see if we can't figure out this door latch next and go from there. All right, so I scavenged the cable off of the Camaro. It's got a little end on it like that, and I think what I can do is actually feed that through the lock mechanism on the door, kind of where the original door lock rods, if you remember, the Elco has like solid rods that went to like a twisty handle and so on, but I think I can feed that into the same hole that the lock rod went through, and it should stay in place. And then the other end of this is a little ball thingy, fishing lure dragger downer thing, and it just kind of clips into that handle. So I think I can actually just have it, yeah, it should clip in there, and then maybe a little bit long, but we'll kind of get some routing and stuff to go through there. But I think the only thing I really got to do is to build a bracket for this other end. It's got this little plastic whoop-de-doo thingy in it. If I can build like a bracket that's got some fingers to slide into that slot and hold that in, then we should be able to articulate that latch and hopefully be able to open the door from the inside. That's always a benefit. So, okay, so let me do a little bit of playing around, see if I can figure out some sort of a bracketry to make for that, and then we'll find a spot on the door to mount it and kind of connect it all together and see what happens. We'll go from there. Okay, so I found this old piece of 3/16 material that'll go through, I think, at least part of that. And interesting part is it's got a little step in the bottom of it, so it's got to be thicker in one part than the other part. And so I think to make these fingers, I can kind of drill a hole in here with a bad pen. Drill a hole about the right size, kind of slice down into that, and that'll give me some fingers to slide that into, and then maybe bend this over, make a little L bracket out of it. That should be plenty sturdy and strong. Probably about that deep. Yeah, that should work. So we'll knock a hole in this real quick and see what we can come up with. It's time to sharpen the drill bits. Okay, let's cut some slots into that, and then we'll see if we can't get this to kind of slide on to that, thing. So we'll go from there. All right, let's kind of slice these open. That should give us a slot that is wide enough. Now, because of that little step in the plastic, I'm going to take and grind about half of that material off there. We'll see what we can figure out for that. Okay, now that that has cooled off a little bit, it will actually slide and retain that, I think. Pretty good shape. Melted the plastic a little bit, but that kind of gives you the idea. All we need to do is really have that hold that end so that the cable itself can work both forward and backwards. And I think what, at this point, we just got to kind of try it in the car maybe. I'm going to chop this off, and then we can kind of see where it's got to fit in the car, and then we'll probably bend it into an L shape or something, and then figure out how far it's got to go and figure out some sort of mounting in there, and go from there. So let me chop this off and let's go play with it on the car. Okay, so here's kind of the spot that's kind of got to go in there, back behind there someplace. So let's do this. Let's pull this latch out of here. All right, so this is the latch mechanism that we got to hook to. The original rod goes through that little hole down there, and I think should be able to feed that in there, something like that. And then when you're pulling the cable, you should be able to release that mechanism. So we'll kind of stick this whole thing back in there with the cable. Anybody old enough to remember when every allergy on the planet was called hay fever? Just curious. I think the only treatment options at that point were a box of sandpaper Kleenex and some poke and grit. Just poke your feet under the cable and grit your teeth. Okay, so that should get us cable that somewhere in the neighborhood of there that we can release. Now for the little bracket we made. If I can find what I did with it. Oh, I'm sitting on it. Okay, so if that, I don't know if you can see that in there, but that goes sliding on in there. Then we can probably mount that right in here someplace. Make a quick mark where I think we can bend that over on an L, knock a hole in here about there, and drill and tap that 3/16 material. That should be fine to do that. So, you know, that way we can get it tensioned about right, I think. So let's go over and hammer that one over and see if we can't put a mounting provision on that tab. So we'll go from there. All right, so I went ahead and bent that over, knocked a quick hole in it. So we'll be able to mount it, I think. So real quick, let's just run a 1/4-20 tap down in there, make that be able to accept a little bolt. And I think, you know, the 3/16 material that this is, it should have plenty of meat to hold it in place. There's really not any like structural rigidity or anything needed in that. Just gotta maintain the position of that clip really kind of without flexing much. right, so let's go knock a hole in the door where we think that kind of got to go and see if that whole idea works. We'll figure it out. All right, so that bracket's kind of got to live. See that clip is in there, so it's kind of got to go about in there someplace. Let's see if we can't get a guess on where it can live. So I want to kind of take up the tension in that cable a little bit. And I think that hole is right about there someplace. So, now let's knock a hole in and see what happens. Stick a bolt in real quick just to hold it. Okay, so I got all that mounted finally, figured out, put the bracket on the correct way with the L. And yeah, well, anyways, we want to talk about that. Anyways, let's see if we can't get some actuation out of this and see what actually happens. Okay. Very coordinated. All right. Let's just do this real quick, see if we're even close. Latch this. Right at the very end of the treadle, so I'm gonna move that bracket or bend it maybe just a little bit. See if we can't get a little better action out of that. Okay, well, let's put this door panel on real quick and actually, excuse me, actually try opening the door. Nice. All right. Get you around here so you can See? All right, well, I think that gets us a door panel installed and the ability to open the door. So success on that front. Now, the whole task is to make this mess look pretty. Yeah, it's gonna be a big mess. Oh well, we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so I separated the plastic from the metal surround. In order to make this pretty, we're gonna wrap the black part in some genuine fake leatherette vinyl, no, got some really cool stuff. It came from a company called Sailrite, and it really matches the grain pattern and stuff really good. So, and it was cheap. It was like 20 bucks a yard or something like that. But in order to wrap just the plastic part of this, got to take off some of the accoutrements here. And so on the back side of this, and I'll get you in here and kind of show you what's going on. Some of this stuff has like hex head screws, and then holding down the same part is actually like melted, like a hot melt, not a hot melt, but a heat stake that they came in and just melted the little posts that came through. So let me show you those real quick and figure out how we're going to take all this stuff apart. All right, so here's what I was talking about on the back side of this. You can see like some of these spots are held on by screws, and then you go around here, and then these are all heat staked. But the good news is these heat stakes seem to be like hollow posts, so I think if I just grind those off, I'll be able to reattach this with screws through those posts. So kind of the same thing on the door handle and the little pocket protector thingy there. And then the same thing on this thing that clips onto the top. There's some screws. And then on the back here, there seems to be like the heat stakes. So I guess they couldn't make up their mind. But let's see if we can't get this stripped down and torn apart, and we'll figure out how to get it looking pretty. All right, so well, let's start with the screws that we can identify, and then see if we can't grind those heat stakes off and get this stuff freed up. And they should have enough post length in order to get some screws back in that, so that should work. Got a screw in the middle of two heat stakes. Okay, makes sense. Alright, it looks like there's some screws on the armrest as well. But it doesn't look like any heat stakes. So that could be good news for reattaching that. Okay, well that's all the screws that I can see. Let's do a little bit of grinding on those heat stakes. I'm going to use just a red Scotch-Brite pad to try and take those off. I'm getting too aggressive, so we'll see how this works. seems to work pretty good. Okay, I think that piece is loose, I think. Alright, just can't reach down in there with that. Okay, we'll set that one aside for now. All right, let's see here. Okay, well that unit comes out okay. Should be able to go back in. Alright, so I think from that we got to do the door handle here. And that one is held on by a screw that goes through to a bracket that we still got to make, so that one shouldn't be any big deal to get back to being tight. Let's see, let's try and get this little pocket thing off of here. So I think at this point we have enough of that fun stuff off. I'm gonna pop this switch out here. The speaker cover is actually molded right in, so that you can't remove that, but I'm gonna remove this little emblem. I think what I'll do is just wrap right over the top of that, and that way when we do figure out speakers and so on, we can just cut a hole and mount them right there. And that plastic should be plenty strong enough to hold it. So we'll get that out of the way, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Or maybe able to put a trim ring around it and use that grill, I don't know. Let's see if we can get these switches out of here. I think what we can do is just kind of glue a piece of metal or a piece of plastic on the back side of that and then fill in the front side. So it shouldn't be any huge trauma. Okay. Buttons and switches and knobs and doodads removed. So this should give us a good area to be able to wrap. I can already see some trouble areas, kind of where this comes in here and this dips down again in here. I'm going to have there's only so much you can stretch that that fabric. You have to come up with something creative to get around that opening there. We'll see, but let's do this real quick too. Let's smooth out this. So that comes out. And then where I popped the speaker off, I'm gonna take that down to see if we can get a smooth surface to go to. I think in order to put this back on, I think we've got everything kind of cleaned up the way that, you know, we're gonna have to put like some backing plate or something where this hole is here, and then we can smooth that over with some fiberglass. I know fiberglass won't stick to the plastic, but it'll stick to, you know, if we glue a metal plate underneath there or something, it'll stick to that. So that'll give us at least an area that is flush and be able to be covered. And I think at this point, let's just rough up the back side of this, and then we'll clean up the metal frame, and then we'll just kind of glue everything together. I think that's the next step. But we got to the point where we've got all the fun stuff out, and we can start gluing stuff together and making one whole piece. So let's go from there. All right, so I got both sides of this roughed up, and what I'm going to use to put this together is some 3M panel bonding adhesive. It's number 8115. Not the cheapest stuff around, but it is supposedly the best, and I really don't want these things ever separating. So, excuse me, the plan is I'm going to put a bead along this edge. Nice thick one, and then I'm gonna stab about 3,000 screws in it all the way around to hold it. It's gonna take quite a while to dry. I think it's supposed to be able to work it in like a couple hours, but I'd like to give it like a day to set up real good and hard. So I'm gonna use pretty thick bead all the way around. I have to get another tube of this stuff. But this should account, since it's panel bonding adhesive and it's rated for like use to bond like quarter panels and fascias and everything else. You know, for exterior of the car, should be fine to use on the interior of the car, I'm hoping. Alright, this is why I don't decorate cakes. Other than the fact that, yeah, I can't make them, but just saying. Okay, there should be enough of the black splooge for now. I'll get out the army of screws here. And since this has already been screwed, I got some guide holes to start with. See if we can find any of those. You just, with this stuff, you just want to make sure that you've got complete coverage and a good tight clamp on it. and just let it sit and do its magic. Magic chemistry stuff, I don't know. Try and put enough screws in this in various locations so the whoop-de-doos in the plastic are kind of smoothed out, so there's less sanding on the back side of this. So we'll get the rest of these screws in and then let this dry for a day or so, and then start doing some body work to it. So we will pick it up from that point. Okay, so it's the next day. This stuff is set up really well, so I think it is at this point we can pull our clamps out of here that are known as screws. And we got a wonderful job of starting to sand and clean up these edges and fun stuff like that. And then I have to do a little bit of finagling with some fiberglass and try and get this back into form, I guess. So does not want to come out of there. Some of these might have some dabs of that stuff as I shoved them through it. And this stuff does harden up like crazy, so if you want a permanent bond in something, that is a good go-to. As you can tell, I just put way too many screws through this thing just to make sure that got kind of a smooth edge, or at least eliminated as many whoop-de-doos as I could. Okay, and just so that you know, I also went ahead and in a couple of those spots, like here, I put a little metal plate that I glued in from the back side, and that way that'll give me something to put the fiberglass to. And also there, just kind of splooged it in there. But I'm just going to take a DA with some 80 grit and start sanding on this. I want to rough up this edge a little bit. There's a kind of a feature line here. I'm going to try and sand some of that down because it's just not going to come through very well when we wrap this and get a little bit of padding on there. So let's go ahead and get some sanding done. And hopefully take off all the armor all and everything else that's on that thing. So. Okay, so I got everything scuffed up. Gets us ready for our next step, which I think should be laying a little bit of fiberglass around here, and then we got a whole bunch more sanding to do. So let's pick it up from there. All right, so I'm gonna use some Duraglass and try and get a smooth transition between the plastic and the metal here. And I know the body guys always say don't use cardboard to mix on, so I actually use the inside of the box instead of the outside of the box, so it must be better. But, you know, whatever. But just get this stuff nice and mixed here until it turns a uniform color. You don't want to like it stir it up too much. Just kind of want to agitate it, you know, get it angry. All right, close enough for who it's for. Then my thought is, just kind of lay kind of a thick edge in there and sand that down so everything meets. I'm not trying to be real neat or finished body work here. As you'll see, we got lots of prep work to do anyways, but hopefully this will allow us to kind of eliminate that step down and have a smooth surface to start wrapping this with. So that's the goal. All right, well, I'll get the rest of this spread out here, and then I think once we get kind of surface to start sanding from, we'll pick it up at that point. But you kind of get the idea what we're trying to accomplish here, I hope. All right, well, I think we're to a point now where it's good enough for the next step. I used that Duraglass because it's really strong, has the best chance of kind of bonding a little bit to the plastic and so on versus like just a filler. And but man, that stuff seems like concrete. So just forewarning. Anyways, I'll get this cleaned up and get ready for kind of the next step, and then we will pick it up from there. Doesn't everybody just love bodywork for how clean it is? You know, get nice and neat and doesn't get you dirty or anything. So, but anyways, we'll figure it out. Okay, I got this cleaned up with about every chemical that I own. Use some lots of air and lacquer thinner for a bit, and then wax and grease remover and about 6 times. So hopefully it's clean enough for what we're gonna try and accomplish. And at this point, let me introduce you to the upholsterer's best friend. This is like a closed cell foam. Us old guys actually call it Landau foam. But my plan is to stick this onto this outboard side, give it a little cushion there. And if you're real careful with this stuff, you can sand it and blend in the edges and stuff like that. So it's some great stuff. And to put that on, you need some contact adhesive. Got some industrial strength stuff. You know, it's the good stuff when it says one of these. It's like for professional use only, it's a violation of federal law to have it for weirdos like me. So I bought this from a guy in a van down by the river. Don't tell anybody. You can spray this stuff on, and I'll spray it onto the foam. But for this part, I'm actually going to brush it on. You really want the edges to have like 100% coverage. You can do like 80% coverage on the rest of that. But there is tons and tons of edges here that I've got to be able to stick down. And there's some spots where I don't want the foam, like over the speaker and the door handle pockets and stuff like that. And then on this surface here, I don't think I need any foam. That's actually just going to meet up to the dash. And then I'm just going to stop it at this outer edge here. I'm not going to wrap the foam down. We'll wrap the finished material down that way. So I'm going to take a little brush here and start with my edges. Make sure that get lots of coverage where we want it and no coverage where we don't. And this stuff, basically you put it on, wait about 5-10 minutes. You put it on both surfaces. Wait about 5-10 minutes, and then you can stick the two together. And this is not like the spray stuff that you get at Home Depot and stuff. This, you got one shot. There is no repositioning this without tearing everything up, and there's a bunch of warnings on the can about, you know, get it right the first time, basically, because you just you're gonna get one swing at the plate with this one. So we'll see how bad we can mess this up. But try and get all the edges really good. Go around and not get it on the spots where we don't want it, if possible. But if you're doing stuff with like contact adhesive, I mean, the more complete the coverage, usually the better off you're going to be. These are just little 50-cent chip brushes, because you can't clean them and reuse them. Like I said, it's some nasty stuff. Okay, so I think we got it pretty much on this part. Let's go spray that foam off, and then let them tack up, and we will stick the two together and see how much of a mess we can make. All right. Okay, if you're gonna spray this stuff, you want at least a 2.0 nozzle on a gun, and hopefully maybe even a 3.0 nozzle. But you just want to get like 80% coverage on it. Yeah, I'm using the Elco hood for a table here, but just want to get that to the point where you don't have to saturate everything, but good coverage so everything sticks. Let this stuff tack up, and then we'll go back and stick them together. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes or so, and both of those surfaces are pretty much dry to the touch. So basically, like I said, you get kind of one shot at this. Lay that gently on there. Get some. Oh, that hood is dirty. We've got a lot of contours to try and smooth into. Get around this speaker. You can stretch this stuff just a little bit without tearing it. going to be a trouble spot here where that little pocket opening is, but we'll do what we can. Okay, well, we got the basics started here. Just a touch of trimming off. Sharper that your blade is, the better. So spend a couple of cents on a new one. All these major curves carved out here. Okay, I think we got the basics down. As I thought, I'm going to have some serious trouble stretching that material up in this corner here. Have to fill in a little gap there, and have to get creative probably with how we get that pocket finished up. But I think from here we can now take some fine grit sandpaper and kind of taper these edges in, and then we should be ready to actually lay some material, make it look pretty. So we will pick it up from there. All right, so I got these edges kind of smoothed out, good enough for covering and so on, but just took some 400 grit, and it leaves it a little bit fuzzy, but I just wanted to round over the edges and so on. So got my genuine fake leatherette here, and just kind of laying out a strategy on how I want things to stretch. It's just, there's definitely going to be some trouble spots in a few areas. This little dipsy-do there, this spot down by where the pocket is, but I think most of it should be okay. I'm gonna have to cheat on some of these corners and so on in order to get that to lay out. But at this point, I'm going to do the same thing with this that I did with the foam. I'm going to brush on to the substrate here, brush on the contact adhesive everywhere where I want that to stick. I'm not going to do around on the speaker grill. I'll just leave that loose, but basically everywhere else around the edges and down into the pockets, how deep I want those, and then once we get that outer surface done, then we can wrap around and finish it to the back side. So, but that'll be just a bit before we get to that point. But anyways, I think at this point we're ready to put on some of the contact adhesive and take a stab at actually covering this thing. So we'll pick it up at that point. All right, so this stuff is tacked up on both sides, so we'll give this a shot. We'll a little afraid of getting this in the wrong spot to start with, but wish me luck. Try and lay this down as smooth as possible. By the braille system here. Let me get enough of this down to see what I'm doing. It's always fun to try and push and pull and stretch all at the same time. But you just want to take your time with this stuff and try and get out as many whoop-de-doos as you can as you go. Get a little relief in it. Find my blade. I'm not cutting off stuff that I'm gonna need. I think we can make those corners. Should be able to make that corner. All right, so that should wrap around, I think, pretty decent. Got a little bit of stretching to do. Can't really wrap this edge until I get the inside of this back together because of that clip-on portion, but let's play with the corners here. These are going to be trouble spots for sure. Reapply a little bit of glue, I think. See if we can figure out a strategy to get that to lay down in there. I don't think there's going to be any way around it. I'm going to have to make a relief cut in the corners. Not the most ideal, but we'll deal with it as need be. Really about the only thing that reactivates this stuff is this stuff, so. Okay, well, excuse me. You get the idea. I'm going to go around and play with the rest of these corners. You got a lot of futzing and putzing to do. Get this thing stuck down and smoothed out. But I think we are in pretty good shape, almost looking like a door panel at this point. So I'll continue to do that, and we will pick it up from there. Okay, well, I was trying to show you guys, I was cheating these corners, had to make some relief cuts in order to get them to kind of lay smooth and so on, but battery died, so, you know, anyways. And I can't, so I got everything wrapped. I think I put a little patch down in there. It's okay for now, I guess. We'll figure something out, but can't really wrap this top edge until I get, like I said, all of these interior or the other pieces in here. So let's go ahead and get those set. Door handle kind of goes in like so. Fits down in there pretty nice. This is going to go under that, over that. Okay. The extra thickness of the material is just enough to make that a squeeze fit. All right, now for the tricky part. Let's see, pull the screw back out of here. Get it fed back underneath there. Underneath there. And sit back down into its previous form. Okay, well, we got it somewhat where it's supposed to live. We'll see if we can make it happy. Put a couple of these screws back in the holes where screws were originally. Okay, it appears to sit down about where it came out from. All right, so I'm gonna run a couple of these screws in here. I got some half inch, I think they're number 8s or something like that. Let's see if we can hold some of the rest of this down. Oh yeah. With those heat stakes being like hollow tubes, just kind of sit right down, draw right down the center of where we ground those off. So Okay, well, I think it actually looks pretty good. Do a little bit of cleanup here, but now that fits back in there. Everything. Oh, got to do the little trash receptacle here. Well, guys, sorry about cutting you off a little bit short. Ran out of memory thingy, so apparently I've learned everything that I can learn. Memory is full. But anyways, got everything put together, wrapped, all the accessorize in, and I think at this point we are ready to throw that baby on the car and see what it looks like. So I think it actually came out pretty good. So the improbable or next to impossible. We'll see what it does when we get it all on the car and figure out from there. So let's go over to the Elco and try and strap this in. All right, well, this is not the latest thing anymore, but you know, ought to give a good solid clunk when you close the door. And make the positives up as we go. So we'll see if we can't get this in here. I'm envisioning that we should only need just a couple of screws on the bottom in order to secure that. It should be plenty stiff with the frame that we made. We can get this door unlocker widget thing. Alright, clipped onto the top. Let's throw a couple screws in the bottom. Okay, let me drill a quick hole in the bracketry here. So I can put a screw in. Hold this door cup in, or door handle in. Good. And one down here. So a quick screw in this. Okay, so got the clips on the top, 2 screws on the bottom, door handle screw and the pull screw. So I think we're in pretty good shape. That's a little bit loose, so might need something up in here. Might have to get me one of those black screws or something. Really don't want to expose screw there if I can help it, but give this thing a whirl. Stays on. So let's run around to the other side and take a quick look what it looks like from the inside out, and then figure out what's next. All right, guys, well, this is the door panel in the car. Doesn't look too bad, so I think got most of the shape and contours okay. Fills up the space pretty well, and I think it looks significantly better than the old flat one. So I think from that perspective we are pretty much wrapped up with the driver's side, and now just gotta rinse and repeat on the other side. So Well, I guess if you want to see me build that one, you can just turn around and, you know, rewind this and watch it back in the mirror. So, I don't know. But I think that's going to do it. Hey guys, I think that's going to do it for this edition of Let's Get Dirty Garage. Like I said, just got to do the other side now. But yeah, there's probably a good 3-4 days total work into this nice thing. But I actually like it. I think it'll really kind of modernize the interior of the Elco, and should you know, the dash will kind of fit into the contours, and I just think it'll be kind of unique and special. Yeah, special. Everybody says they're special. So, but anyways, hey, listen, I appreciate you guys so much. If you haven't yet, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So appreciate that. Leave me a comment. What do you think about the door panel? And tell me how crazy I am at this point. But try to do the improbable with the impossible on a pretty small budget. But I think we've accomplished what we wanted to here, and should be good. So. Hey, listen, I appreciate it again, and thanks so much for getting dirty with me today. We'll see you next time. Take care.